that a lot of tools are made from iron and steel, and the only way to really get around to making stuff out of it is you gotta use heat, you gotta use a fuel source and oxygen, and then right now we're making a hot chisel. See, we're heating that up to a color where we've got all the we're able to actually bend it and move it. It's to a state, where it becomes malleable and it's easier to move into whatever shape you need, whatever tool. Blacksmiths made a lot of different kinds of stuff. There's different types of blacksmithing. There's different side groups like ferrying, making horseshoes. There's bladesmithing, making blades. But blacksmiths, they had to kind of do a little bit of everything back in the day. You had to have all kinds of skills with moving the iron, and it was a job that was much needed. You wouldn't have any equipment or anything like that if you didn't, or else we would be using stone. So, yeah.
So, bring that tip down.
Yep. Not better.
The bed of the press is pretty much right here, and this is where the paper goes. It's an 1870s Gordon press designed by Phineas Gordon back in the day. Oddly enough, he claims that he was visited one evening by the ghost of Benjamin Franklin and told how to make this press. Now, I don't claim that that's true, but it's possible because there was no press like this before his time. Typically, printing presses before his time were the kind that you had to pull the handle, and it was a one piece at a time. And a press like that, you could probably print maybe 100, 200 pieces an hour if you had help. On a press like this, I actually have a press like this at home as well as here. This type of press, you could print several hundred pieces an hour, and it's not a real problem. The way the press works is very simple. This is the ink disc up here. This is where we put the ink. In this case, it's black ink, so only one color at a time. We've got several rollers, which then roll upon the ink plate, and they pick up the ink. And the paper goes here, as I said earlier. And normally I'm in front of the press, so I'm feeding the press with my left hand and my right hand, so it's a constant process. So what happens is the wheel turns and the paper then gets pressed against the type, creating an impression on the paper. The ink rollers then take up more ink, come back down, and ink the type that's in the form. The form is, or chase, is right here, and this is the result of the printing. So this would be called a handbill because it's such a small piece of paper. And this is not exactly a great print because there's a difference in density in the color. So the printer would strive for a perfect print because, like in today's methods, people are paying for this. So they want it to be good quality. If the piece were bigger, let's say 2 or 3 times larger than this, instead of it being called a handbill, which is passed from hand to hand, then you would want something, it would be called a broadside, which is what we now call posters. So in this print shop at the Cobblestone Museum, even though the equipment dates from the 1870s, the inside of this shop is, we interpret it around 1915 because we have a couple of posters that are from that era, plus we have a telephone in here and we have electricity. So this type of printing was going on since the 15th century with Gutenberg, And honestly, I think he would not be at ill at ease in this shop, even though it's much later than his time, because not a lot changed in that time.
You're talking hours of work. So then, once my type is set, we build it into a form. So here we've got a cut, we have some types, a different typeface down here. Notice different sizes, different cut. This wood around it, what's called a furniture, and that is actually what gets locked into that chase that goes into the press. And the ink goes on the high part, what's recessed down doesn't get ink, and you print with it.
Never changed over the years. So going way back, they've always had an internal wooden tree that goes inside the saddle, and it's made of 7 layers of beech board laminated together and then reinforced with steel and riveted. And there's a standard of the quality of the rivets that go in and how many. And then this is a stirrup bar that's added on, and this would go, I'll show you the interior, and then they build a saddle around it. But this is the inside of the saddle. You can see the internal tree, and then it's reinforced with leather topping, and then underneath, for cushioning for the horse, we have a panel that is full of real wool that goes inside, and it goes underneath here, and it's all hand stitched, front and back. That part has never changed. It's all done by hand, and the tools that I use on a daily basis are basically the same as these old ones. And I didn't bring mine with me today, but they're basically exactly like that. Use like the big awls, and we use those to go through all the existing holes. It's in the leather, so we're not adding new holes to weaken it. We open those holes up and then go through with needle and thread. And the thread is heavy duty cotton, and that's been waxed. And let's see, so it goes front and back. And I'll show you the wool flocking. I brought samples of all the different kinds, and this is a synthetic wool that you'll see in some saddles. But this one is the most favorite because it's got the nice cushioning factors, and this is the Jacob's wool. They're the black and white sheep. All my wool comes from England. And then there's the merino wool that you'll also find in some saddles. It's a nice quality, but it's a little bit more dense. And that is what is in this panel. Cushions the horse's back. And so a lot of all these same tools are used from way back. Use the mallets to shift the flocking inside and move it around a bit. And all these same tools are what I use today.
White, and now like even that wood knot that you see up there, he painted that. So I just had a gentleman here, he could not believe it. He had to like walk up and look at it. He goes, my goodness, it looks more like real wood than the fake wood stuff they do now. I said, yeah. So it's pretty remarkable. He did that, and then he also painted that three-dimensional mural in the back just to give it more dimension. And the reason we angle those chairs is also to kind of give that dimensionality to the painting. And then, then they brought in a lot more sort of what we consider churchy elements. Yeah. So you'll see those. This is one of those neat things for collections. I love these. And then you just pass it down the aisle, and you don't have to pass the plate around. All of this from was
Oh, I've been
donated.
collecting it for 60 years.
This is yours? That's amazing. What a wealth
This
of knowledge
is
you
a
must have.
posthumous portrait. When you look at that, you don't think anything about death, but it's a posthumous portrait.
Oh man.
I think the girl was 6 years old because of the highlighted buttons on her shoes.
Yeah.
She's dressed in white for purity,
Yeah.
and children who died before the age of 12 were laid out in white. She's seated on a folding chair, which is temporary, not here very long. She had a cat, and the cat's looking up at her, "Why aren't you playing with me anymore?"
Oh my God.
Cat had a blue ribbon that suggests truth.
Oh,
Cat had a toy. A red suggests love. And at the end of the ribbon is a ball, which is like a sphere, considered to be the most perfect geometric form. So sometimes in old cemeteries we see spheres on monuments, which represents final perfection.
Oh my gosh.
She's holding a fan, which represents protection.
Wow.
And it's a gold color, which represents the goodness of God.
Wow.
Clover represents the Holy Trinity.
Oh my gosh.
And the wall is very important in this picture because it separates the life we know from the one beyond.
How did you know all of this?
And we see the light of Christ or heaven coming down on the top of the wall.
That's amazing.
For obvious, she's in clouds there, that girl. That would have been painted probably around 1850, whereas this other one would be 1890s, and there's Phoebe and Rosemary.
That was 1890?
1890s.
That's fascinating.
This would be probably 1850 or before. And of course, we have all kinds of hair memorials.
Yeah. That is fascinating.
This too is a posthumous
I
portrait.
was going to
See,
say.
she's in white.
Yeah.
She's got a. There's this body cooler. This would have been built probably around 1850. This is what was used before embalming. Embalming was perfected during the Civil War period of time. So this makes use of ice. It comes apart here. It's a metal tray that ice could be put on. There are drains to let out the water as the ice melts. The body was then put over the ice on a perforated grill. Then this upper portion was put over the body, and that could be chinked in with ice. During the calling hours, you could see your loved one through the window. Come the day of the funeral, the body was removed from the cooler and put into a coffin. So any number of deceased people were in this cooler in the 19th century.
It's reusable.
Yes. Used over and over. This could be procured from the undertaker.
So it used to be, you take your rugs and you beat them or you wash them. When they come in print. So you could, yep, it actually moves the rug. Yep, just smooths it out. You also have your rug. Not that. I have one hand.
Thing ends right where
Did you guys get all the,
and that's how small this house was. But if you're making a cobblestone house, you don't want it to be gigantic. You never get it done in a year.
You know, I had never thought about that aspect of it.
Yes.
Conversation.
But they were small. Plus, you had a lot of stoves, but they took a lot of stoves to build. Yeah. Well, they did the smaller stoves on the front and
You know,
the bigger stones on the other side.
But the fact that they live in beachy freaking.
got any questions for me?
No.
Stove, waffle iron, coffee pots. We always have water over here. And that keeps it, you know, we have clothes to do, we have coffee to make, we have dinners to do. Back in this area, we have a little potty seat because who wants to go out in January when you're training children? And then one of our washing machines. So this part would be your clothes and your soap, and you wind it up and agitate, going up and down. You're rinsing it off here, and then you're wringing it through into a bucket, and then you would take it to hang, either outside or on racks. We also have what they used to consider the perfect washing machine, which would take a bucket and you would be going up and down. That's what you're doing? This is a bathtub.
I guessed it.
You guessed it, that's right. Again, once a week, we bring the children in, we put it on the floor, we fill it up with water. The children sit around, oldest to youngest. And what was that old saying? Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Well, this is where it came from. Because by the time 2 or 3 children got done bathing, this would be pretty dark. Over here, if this is a child's seat, but for a very rambunctious child, because we don't want them to tip. That's what the runners are for. Outside here is our garden for our herbs and cooking, and this is very, very handy. Out the other side, you have the smokehouse. Now, keep in mind, they salted things, they pickled things, they canned things, they smoked things, and that's pretty much how they preserve their foods.
That was the Cobblestone building?
This is a little cobblestone or smokehouse.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Right here. Over on the behind you, I'll say. Prior to having that wonderful 2-person vacuum machine, we had to beat the rugs and take them outside, and then you'd bring them in this tall device here. It actually was put on the floor, and you kind of stomp it to make the rugs nice and smooth again. Here, we have many different little pieces on here that you don't see very often anymore, including this, what they call moon-shaped dish. Do we know what this is for? Bones. This is for your bones. We live next to Lake Ontario. We eat a lot of fish. This is for our fish bones.
You're everywhere.
Our salt cellars, because you need to season your own dishes. The butter dish.
Oh, wow.
It would cover it to keep the flies and things off. But you didn't want to put that cover on the cloth linen because it would leave a circle, right? So you hang it up. Wow. A pickle caster, we did a lot of pickling, and they loved their pickles. So there was always something like that out there. This is actually for celery. Now celery has a very floral, greenery part to it. And you would put it in here if you were lucky enough to get it, because it also had a wonderful scent to it. My grandmother always used to say, if you smell it, it increases your appetite. I don't know, I always came to the table hungry anyway. Tablecloth was often in your napkin, but again, only doing only doing laundry once a week. You had to remember that this is your napkin. And how do you know that? Your ring. Sometimes it might have initials in it, sometimes there might be a specific drawing or etching special to you.
And you kept it all week.
Yes, yes. In the corner we have a sewing machine. Again, there wasn't electricity, so that's a pump with your feet. And that was made in Rochester, New York.
Oh, wow.
Horace Greeley was a editor for the Tribune, and his niece and nephew owned and lived in this house for a while. And once their business went bad and they couldn't continue to pay the mortgage, Horace Greeley came forward, and he actually owned this home for a while. Yeah, but he sold it again. Over here, I'll show you this picture first, because now we're stepping up. This is a handy dandy 2-person vacuum machine.
Oh, wow.
And we have that over in this corner. So with this, you would pump it up, get the suction going, somebody else would bring the hose out, and then somebody else would be pushing it along. So a lot of these things, like the sausage maker, everything is like 2-person.
They quarry limestone in the area, they break it up and they put it in this, basically a furnace.
But yes, so either
So
her
it's a
husband or she
chimney,
might be
and
out
this shows it
with
really,
the ox.
really well, that they
Oh, actually, right behind
make
you.
an
There you
arch in the bottom of limestone, and they fill the whole column with limestone, and they build a fire down underneath. They heat the whole thing up so that it gets converted to a quick line. They break the arch, all of it would fall down the bottom. They break it up into a powder, mix it with water and sand, and then that would be their mortar. Yep, and you can see the specks of limestone in it. And it's a fairly big process. You can see.
These are modern day spinning wheels. We have a spinning group that we all just put together and spin.
No, we're on Glidden Road,
Teach new
so
spinners.
we're right in the middle of 237 and Sarasota.
Process for you to even do that with it already, right?
Yes, this is called roving.
We have a.
So what happened before this was the animal was sheared. You pick all the stuff out of it that you don't want in it, and then you bathe it, and you then run it through a carder, or a picker, which fluffs it all off and pulls like the fibers apart.
A shawl for a wedding next month. Painted cotton is what I'm using for the warp, and that's what these threads are. So you can see that there's actually 2 different shades of blues in there, and they're really, when you very subtle. And that was the goldfish. We wanted some depth and some luminescence without really brash, because the gal that's wearing this is wearing a really dark navy gown. So I'm actually putting a cashmere mix is the weft. And when this is all done, I will take it off the loom, and I will be washing it and blocking it, so it'll have a nice soft drape, and all this cashmere will actually fill in the gaps that you see and give it a little more body, and you'll see the luminescence in this fabric.
So when you say weft, you mean?
So this is the weft, yeah. So the warp is the nice long part that holds the structure of the fabric.
Some of them do not yet. For the younger ones who weren't quite ready to learn how to write yet.
Okay. And you said there was a mix of grades, right?
Yes, so you would have, for instance, K through 6 at towards the end of the 1952. And so the teacher would be here, and they would do a couple of things. First of all, they would have visiting teachers. You might have a music teacher. You might have a gym teacher. She might have other visiting teachers. These desks would park and be pushed off to the side. And in the winter months, would open up the center so they could have their gym class inside.
Wow, okay. So they weren't, okay.
This bench was specifically for the teacher to use to give particular lessons, reading lessons, math lessons. So maybe she had 3rd grade, so she was working on a particular reading topic. She would get them all.
Yeah, a small group.
Oh, neat. This string up here is intentional. Can you guess what that's for?
If you're that tall, you can leave.
I think if it were my classroom, I'd want to hang out art there.
Yeah, you put your gloves there.
Actually, they hang up sheets and blankets, and this would become a stage, and then performances for their.
Wow, great.
This is my grandson, Colin. His father was one of the very first ones to put on a Christmas show.
Nice. Wow.
You will notice we have different stations. We have history stations. We have outside and environmental stations. We have in the back we have your blackboard or your board that go through different topics for students. I also pointed out, let's see, this is one of our science sections.
The American Suite by Dvorak. This is 4 movements that we've split up through the concert, but he is our only composer that is not American. But he wrote this piece when he came to the United States for 2 years. He's originally from Czech, and he spent 2 years here, and he realized that America didn't really have a musical sound, and so he wrote this piece as the American Suite to give the Americans their musical sound.
European composer and well known and loved in Europe. And he was well loved in America as well until he came in and decided to give the Americans their sound. So, yeah, we enjoy his music, but not so much his opinions.
And after him came Copeland, and he was the one that really made the American sound that we know today. But he wasn't